All right, everybody, welcome to the Fantasy Football Live wrap up. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss, and man, what a day it was today in fantasy football. Just a lot of serious injuries to big name players: Breece Hall, DK Metcalf, and just a couple of minutes ago, Mike Williams, who's carted back to the locker room after being helped off the field by two trainers. Certainly it looks like he suffered a severe ankle injury, and right now the Seattle Seahawks are just putting the finishing touches on a victory over the Los Angeles Chargers. And this is what pisses me off about the Chargers. They do this every week, every time that they fall behind early and are actually, winds up the game is out of reach and they're getting blown out. They leave the starters in when they should be on the bench. It's a 37-16 game and Mike Williams gets seriously injured. This happened earlier in the year too against the Chiefs when Justin Herbert wound up getting injured. So it's just a joke, that Brandon Staley leaves these guys in as long as he does. But, certainly Mike Williams, like all the injuries that happen each week, we have to get the official medical diagnosis. They have to go through testing. But based on what Mike Williams, how much pain he was in and the way he was bent over backwards like that, it certainly looks like that he suffered a serious injury and is going to. And Austin Eckler just scores a meaningless touchdown. So listen, if you have Austin Eckler, the season has just been unbelievable. This guy's going over 30 points every week. He scores in garbage time here. It's, we were debating all summer between Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor for the number one pick. It should have been Austin Eckler. And honestly, I was wrong. I didn't think he was going to be able to put forth. Okay. So instant analysis update. Here we go. Robert Saleh on Breece Hall's knee injury. Initial diagnosis is not good. Saleh indicated it's a likely ACL injury. Holy shit. So it looks like Breece Hall has suffered a torn ACL based on, and listen, a coach doesn't say this unless they're pretty sure that there is a significant injury. There's no reason to camouflage. It looks like Breece Hall might be done for the season. Unfucking believable. Excuse my language, but that Breece Hall was so awesome the last couple of weeks that this is if you're a fan of football, this just sucks. Breece Hall was playing so well. It's just amazing how here today, gone tomorrow. For guys like this. I'm just sending a quick text. This is just brutal with Breece Hall. I can't even believe this. And then you have DK Metcalf, who's carted off. No, he wasn't going to take a dump. He had legitimately had a knee injury. So he's down. Alan Lazard, who screwed me late, and when the Packers needed to throw, he wasn't available with a shoulder injury. Amon-Ra St. Brown suffers a concussion. Second injury he's dealt with this year. It's just brutal. Absolutely brutal. And no two ways about it. So Breece Hall, those who are just jumping in right now, make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the notification button. Breece Hall looks like he suffered a torn ACL, and he's going to be lost for the remainder of the season. So Michael Carter, if he's available, and he really shouldn't be because he should be a handcuff guy that you have on your bench or somebody should have on your bench. So Michael Carter is now going to be the guy. Ty Johnson could get some additional looks now. But this is bad. Trevor, what happened to Mike Williams? He caught a pass and he got bent over backwards. And it looks like his ankle might have broke. It was that bad. It was ugly the way he was bent back. And the ankle didn't go, didn't move. And, force of nature there, it looks like he suffered a significant injury. So listen, fantasy football, it's almost like a battle of survival. Which team is going to be the healthiest going down the stretch of the season? This is just how it goes. You're on top one week with Breece Hall and Amon-Ra St. Brown and DK Metcalf, and then this happens, and then everything turns to shit. So, it wasn't good. Now, so in both of my leagues, it looks like, believe it or not, I might be able to win both of my leagues. And I say believe it or not because in one league, I scored a total of 81 points. In a PPR league, the guy I'm playing right now and he's starting Khalil Herbert because he's in such an injury and bye week, quandary. He's forced to go with Khalil Herbert. I have a 15-point lead, and I scored 81 points. Do the math. That's how bad both of us performed. I had 81 collective points with Lamar Jackson, Allen Lazard, CeeDee Lamb, Leonard Fournette, Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz, Chris Godwin. That's 81 points with all of those stud players. Tampa Bay was completely bombed out, so we know, Godwin and Fournette, did nothing. Lamar Jackson, who is going to be the first up crisis point video of the week. Monday is crisis point video day. Lamar Jackson is fucking first because he's gone, the team, he's put up, less than 25 points, I think, now for 4 straight games. It's a complete joke. His passing is never a strong suit, but it's gotten so bad now with Lamar Jackson that I'm actually looking at alternatives because I have him in both leagues. So I had 81 collective points in one of my leagues, and I actually might win. That's how bad performances across fantasy football was today. And how about Gus Edwards, Randy Miller? You're absolutely right. So there was a lot of conjecture. For me, I was wondering, was it going to be Gus Edwards? Was it going to be Justice Hill? Was it going to be Kenyon Drake? I warned you about Kenyon Drake. He's not a bell cow back, folks, no matter what he put up last week. And we saw this week that in this game that Gus Edwards is going to be the guy. He scored 2 touchdowns. He wasn't overly electric, and he's not. But he's a guy that consistently falls forward. He breaks tackles, and he hits pay dirt when he gets close to the end zone. So Gus Edwards should have picked him up if he was available. He's going to be the guy moving forward. Kenyon Drake, Justice Hill, probably not going to be factors. Lamar is crashing and burning. He's taking Mark Andrews down with him. Yeah, how about that with Mark Andrews? I mean, my God, I think he only had 1 target. He was not himself physically. This is a guy who scored 25-plus fantasy points almost every week this week, and he puts up a donut. Like, Mark Andrews, a donut. Like, what is going on today? Like, it was that bad. I mean, Tampa Bay, listen, and Travis Etienne and Kenneth Walker. So if you had patience with both of those guys, it's really paying off right now. And this is why running backs, they can be the league winner, difference makers every year, excuse me. Man, I had Mike Williams, and now he's out. Any idea how long you think he's out for? Listen, that did not look good. It would not surprise me if it was a broken ankle or he tore ligaments in the ankle, because if you watch the replay, anybody who watched the game, he was bent back awkwardly, and the ankle it went in a grotesque direction. Let's just put it that way. So I don't think we're going to see Mike Williams for a little bit. Where is James Robinson at, Trevor Wiley? James Robinson is no longer a thing. It's the Travis Etienne show, and it's probably going to stay that way. So if you have James Robinson, you can keep him around as a handcuff, and I would still do that, especially if you're an Etienne owner. But Etienne is the guy who went over 100 yards today. He was awesome. I'm going to go through all the games. Torn ACL. I don't think it's not a torn ACL for Mike Williams. It looks like it's definitely an ankle injury. He could have broke it, or he could have torn ligaments in the ankle. Just traded Pitts and Schultz for Andrews and Henry. Hey, listen, Del J, it was a good trade. I wouldn't, go too crazy about Mark Andrews today. I don't know who wants Kyle Pitts and Dalton Schultz for Mark Andrews and Derrick Henry. I mean, that's kind of a crazy trade if you ask me. But yeah, you know what? And another thing that's dawned on me this week, guys, is that the quarterback play has been abysmal. Like, unless you're Jalen Hurts, Pat Mahomes, or Josh Allen, the quarterback play this season has been just downright horrible. Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, now Lamar Jackson can be added to that as well. Jared Goff, after a hot start, has turned to shit. Even Justin Herbert even hasn't been playing that well. So the quarterback situation is just pretty pathetic right now. Is it time to drop Drake London? No, you don't. You never drop a talent like Drake London. You just stash him on your bench and hope things change. But the Falcons are not going to throw the football much. If it's a shallow league, I can amend that. You could drop Drake London, but I still wouldn't, because I just believe in the talent. I can't believe I listened to people who said to fade Josh Jacobs. Hey, listen, Randy, I was one of those guys. I apologize. When he played in the Hall of Fame game, it looked like Josh Jacobs was going to be nothing this season. He's totally balling out. He's one of the stories of the season, 100%. Geno Smith too. Can't even believe what we're seeing out of Geno Smith. Josh Jacobs looking like 2021 JT. Yeah, he definitely is, 100%. All right, so let's start going through these games now. And remember, hit the subscribe and notification button. We got a lot of new subscribers today. A lot of videos took off today, so I appreciate that. Cincinnati and Atlanta. Yeah, Debo is losing value, L. There's no doubt about it, 100% with McCaffrey there, and we'll get to that game. So there is not a hotter quarterback in football right now than Joe Burrow. When he gets hot like this, And he did this the 1 year at LSU too. When Burrow is locked in, you cannot stop him. All right. And the Seattle game is now official. It's over. They've beaten the Chargers. Brandon Staley's done a shit job this year with that team. So Joe Burrow, 34 of 42, 481 yards. Like, are you kidding? And 3 touchdowns. He also ran for a touchdown. So Joe Burrow owners, congrats on your win today. Wow. Amazing. The Atlanta running game is a joke. Algier, 16 for 50 and a touchdown. Caleb Huntley, 6 for 22. You don't want anybody in this. You don't want anybody in this entire offense, even Kyle Pitts right now. And you know what's amazing too? There's a lot of teams like this now that you just don't want any parts of their offense. Denver Broncos, Washington Commanders, even though they won today, Atlanta Falcons, 100%. Should I try packaging J-Rob and CEH? Nicholas, you're not going to get anything for either one of them. I hate to tell you. All right. Tyler Boyd, 8 for 155 and a touchdown. Like, what is going on with Tyler Boyd too? Jamar Chase, 8 for 130 and 2 scores. T. Higgins, listen, T. Higgins had a great day, 5 for 93, 18.6 a catch, but he was third by quite a bit. I still think, Tyler Boyd, he's gonna, when both Higgins and Chase are healthy, Tyler Boyd is going to be he'll pop like once a month, and this is his month to do it. This is his game to do it. Wow, though, Tyler Boyd is just unbelievable. And that's why I always tell you, if you own Chase or Higgins, you have to own Tyler Boyd. I said to go trade for him before this week, and now it's probably too late. Mostert or Harris tonight? God, I hate Najee Harris. I really do. I would go Mostert. I can't even believe I just said that, but I definitely think you got to go Mostert. Can't believe we almost lost Jamar today too. Yeah, Jamar Chase. It got a little scary. It was a non-contact injury. Corey Davis's injury. Just want to update that. Not long-term injury. It's an MCL sprain. So the Jets are in trouble all of a sudden offensively. So Breece Hall, torn ACL. He's going to be done for the year. Corey Davis, MCL sprain. That's usually 2 to 4 weeks. So Garrett Wilson is now going to be back in the crosshairs of getting a lot of receptions. Elijah Moore going AWOL. Maybe Elijah Moore wants to play this week. I mean, the guy was acting like a complete bitch this past week. So, who knows with that situation. All right, so the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott back in the saddle. And what you noticed right away was that Dalton Schultz was involved, all right? And that's what I said was going to happen. Schultz, 5 for 49. Looked like he aggravated the knee injury earlier in the game, but he fought through it. And I give Schultz a lot of credit. He's really gutting through an injury. CeeDee Lamb, 4 for 70. Tony Pollard, 2 for 26 receiving, and Pollard was good in running the ball, 12 for 83. Ezekiel Elliott, 15 for 57, 2 touchdowns. And this is what was really frustrating. In that one league where I scored 81 points, I had Schultz, Pollard, and CeeDee Lamb all starting, and Ezekiel Elliott scores twice. Schultz was tackled at the one play. Same thing with Pollard. And it's so frustrating when you have situations like that, when your guys go down at the 1 yard line. Like I had Lamar Jackson today. He hit Rashad Bateman. Bateman goes down at the 1 inch line, and then Gus Edwards takes in the touchdown. Like shit like that just drives me crazy every week. What happened to Michael Gallup? Well, Michael Gallup is behind Schultz and Lamb and maybe even now Noah Brown in the wide receiver hierarchy. So, and he even in the past with Dak Prescott, Michael Gallup was just an all or nothing player. Any hope for Breece Hall? No, Nigel. Looks like he tore his ACL. So Robert Saleh admitted today it doesn't look good at his press conference. It was just about 10 minutes ago. It looks like an ACL, he said. And when a coach comes out and says that right away, remember, coaches don't give out any information unless it's not going to hurt them. He's just admitting the obvious. Breece Hall's probably done for the season, and that just sucks. Jared Goff has come back to earth, 21 to 26, 2 interceptions. So even in Superflex League, you can do a lot better. Yeah, Nigel, that's a big loss. So as far as Dak Prescott, he was rusty, 19 to 25. He had the late touchdown pass that saved his day. And what pissed me off about that, too, was Hendershot, the backup tight end, and not Schultz who caught it, but that's just how it goes. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the concussion, he's going to have to clear protocols. It's usually 50-50, maybe 60-40 he sits based on these new protocols. So, oh, man, Nigel, that sucks. So you had Javonte and Breece Hall. Oh, my God. But, again, guys, this is a reminder. Look at Nigel. He drafted Javonte Williams and Breece Hall. He thought he was sitting pretty, and now after 7 weeks – I'm not saying he's screwed. I don't know what his record is, but he's going to be in big trouble now losing those 2 running backs. And listen, my condolences, Nigel. That's just rough. TJ Hawkinson, 4 for 48. Man, Josh Reynolds only 1 for 8. if Amon-Ra St. Brown misses next week, I would trust Josh Reynolds in 5 receiver leagues and maybe as a flex, but that was kind of a dud for him. All right, the Tennessee Titans beat the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have turned back to garbage on offense. Next year, I'll rate Breece Hall higher than DeAndre Swift. Del J, you can do that. Just if it's an ACL, though, we got to, he may not be ready at the start of the season, or it could be close. DJ Moore, Randy, we'll get to that one. How about that one? I didn't see that coming. So Matt Ryan was 33 of 44. The accuracy was very good, but he threw 2 interceptions and he took 3 sacks. So again, the pass rush was getting to him. You're not starting him anyway. Ryan Tannehill got banged up. He came back in. Jonathan Taylor was decent, 10 for 58, but the game script went against him. He averaged 5.8 a carry. He was excellent, 7 for 27 in the passing game. So, Jonathan Taylor is being let down by the inept passing game, pass protection on the Indianapolis Colts. And I wish I could say it would get better, but it's not looking like it's going to get better. I had Kenneth Walker and Josh Jacobs. Hey, Blake Beckman, Kenneth Walker and Josh Jacobs, you're the winner today, man. Props, 100%. Derrick Henry, not washed up. Another good game, 30 of 128. Even caught a couple of passes. And talk about out of nowhere, Paris Campbell's 10 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. Like, what the hell was that? This was the most fucked up week of fantasy football that I have seen in a long time. Just stuff coming out of left field. DJ Moore, like Randy Miller brought up, Paris Campbell going nuts. Like, what is going on today? I mean, I know Halloween's coming up. Is there a full moon? I mean, I don't get it. 2 and 5 probably need Harris and Freiermuth. Yeah, man, Nigel, it's not looking so hot for you, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Robert Woods, 3 for 26. He's kind of useless. Michael Pittman, 6 for 58 off the big game last week. Thoughts on Wan'Dale Robinson? Wan'Dale Robinson, I'll get to that. I'll just talk about him now. He had 11 fantasy points in the first half and was shut out the second half. But I said Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be a thing. He was used all over the field. The Jaguar defense adjusted in the second half for him, but he was awesome in the week one. It looked like he was headed for a 20 plus point game, and he is in the circle of trust for me. I definitely would put him. I definitely would put Wan'Dale Robinson, in the lineup going forward on the weekly basis. So Nathaniel Hackett said Russell Wilson is trending on playing next week. I mean, big deal. You really don't want anybody on that offense. All right, how about the Commanders, man? 23-21. The Green Bay Packers have lost 3 in a row to the Jets, the Giants, and the Commanders. Like, again, what is going on in football? My running backs are B-Rob, Damian Harris, and Hines. Nigel, man, listen, don't give up, bro. You never know. Keep doing the handcuff strategy, running back handcuff strategy I post every week. Keep following that because maybe you could back into somebody. Should I start Deontay Johnson or Raheem Mostert? If it's PPR, I would start Deontay Johnson. If it's a standard league, I would start Raheem Mostert. Listen, Taylor Heineke is not the worst quarterback in the world. 20 of 33, did throw 2 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers, 23 of 35, 194, 2 touchdowns. And Aaron Rodgers is right there with Matt Stafford and Tom Brady. He's played a little bit better than both of them. But like the quarterback, there was definitely a quarterback dead zone this year, and he was part of that for sure. I like Scary Terry is a clear wide receiver 1 with Carson Wentz out. Yep, he definitely was treated that way. So Brian Robinson, 20 of 73, he's getting the lion's share of carries. Antonio Gibson did get 10 for 59, and Gibson looked good. He had a touchdown. But Curtis Samuel, 5 for 26. So the offense actually looked pretty good today. Terry McLaurin, 5 for 73 and a touchdown. This was the first decent, impactful game, if you will, that McLaurin's had. And, McLaurin was okay last year with Heineke. So maybe that continues going forward. Curtis Samuel, 5 for 53. Samuel has dropped to a borderline bench guy, and I don't think that changes. Antonio Gibson is still holding enough value in PPR leagues. He caught 3 passes for 18 yards. He had the touchdown. So, I don't think he's going to get traded. I've been getting a lot of questions about that. But at least he's doing enough to stay relevant. Who do you like more, Hubbard or Foreman? I do like Foreman better because I think Foreman's going to have more touchdown potential, even though Hubbard scored today. Hubbard did get banged up as well. I have A.J. Dillon as a handcuff for Aaron Jones. I need your thoughts on that. Trevor, you got to hold on to Dillon. If Aaron Jones gets hurt and he misses game, Aaron Jones has never played a full season. So under that scenario, A.J. Dillon all of a sudden would turn into a top 10 running back overnight. So what do we do with the LA receiving core? Josh Palmer should be available next week, and you go with Josh Palmer. Absolutely. How do you think Deontay Johnson's going to do today? Listen, Kenny Pickett's back under center, so that means he's probably going to look at Pickens more than Johnson. I think it's hit or miss. I think, 5 catches for 70 yards. That's probably the best we can expect out of Johnson. If he scores, great. But, I'm down on Deontay Johnson this year. All right. So Aaron Jones, finally, although it was not in the running game, 8 for 23 running. A.J. Dillon, 4 for 15. I mean, the running game is just a complete disgrace right now for Green Bay. But Jones, 9 for 53 through the air, 2 touchdowns. So this shows you, I've said over and over, Aaron Jones is just a supremely talented player that the coaching staff has failed miserably, not getting him more involved. People who overdrafted A.J. Dillon as if he was a starter are paying the price. Yeah, Del J, 100%. You drafted A.J. Dillon as a top handcuff, which he was. He was right there with Tony Pollard and Alexander Mattison as the best handcuff running backs coming into the season. And he still is. If Jones misses time, Dillon is absolutely a running back 2 at worst. Who are you starting, Pickens or Damian Harris at flex? I'm starting Pickens. Pickens and Pickett have a relationship going back to the summer, so I'm starting Pickens. Mike Evans, 19 PPR. Yeah, definitely. We'll get to that game as well. So Allen Lazard, 6 for 55. He led the receivers again, and, Lazard has been terrific, but now he's got a shoulder injury. So, he's not the most durable guy. Lazard has missed games every year himself. He's not overly durable, so we're going to have to take a closer look at that. Next up, Tampa Bay. Oh, my God, 21-3. Like, again, is there a full moon? How do you is it Todd Bowles? Like, is Tom Brady now old? I just don't understand it. I mean, it was awful. I mean, we know the offensive line is bad, but everybody in Tampa Bay is now being sucked under the abyss that is the Todd Bowles, coaching staff. Like that's the only thing that you could maybe point to. He's made Tom Brady look old. So Romeo Doubs is not in the circle of trust, Trevor. It's Robert Tonyan. It's Allen Lazard. It's Aaron Jones out of the backfield. And that's pretty much it. And even Sammy Watkins is back now, too. Should I look to trade Herbert with Dak at back to try to upgrade a running back? Yeah, if you have Dak, Nigel, definitely trade Herbert. You'll get more for Herbert. So Brady was 32 of 49, 290, no touchdowns, no picks. Listen, Tom Brady, we know he's not fleet of foot. He looks slower than ever. And with the offensive line problems, it's not going to get any better. P.J. Walker, where did that come from? 2 passing touchdowns. He looked good. It looks like he's going to remain the starter. According to Steve Wilkes, he said it's going to be hard to take P.J. Walker out even when Baker Mayfield comes back this week. Leonard Fournette, 8 for 19, only 2.4 a carry. Fournette has not run the ball well this year, folks. He shuffles the feet too much. He's very dance happy. The blocking is not there. Rachaad White, 6 for 24. He got, a decent amount of run there. But man, it's bad. And as far as the receiving game, Fournette, 2 catches for 7 yards, a complete dud, 4.6 fantasy points. It's a roller coaster with Fournette. He was awesome the last 2 or 3 games. Now he puts up a bad one here. But, I think it's dropped him to the running back 1-2 borderline, which is, certainly disappointing. Do you like Damian Harris at all? I don't like Damian Harris. Now he's 2 touchdown dependent for me. So D'Onta Foreman, that's the guy I told you to pick up. He was awesome, 15 for 118. He did catch 2 passes for 27 yards. Chuba Hubbard, 9 for 63. So he did the job too, and he scored a touchdown. Amazing that it was against this Tampa Bay defense. Didn't see that coming, 100%. Hubbard, 2 catches for 10 yards. So, Foreman had the better overall running numbers. Hubbard got banged up. We're going to have to watch the injury situation there. But I still think overall, if you had to choose between the two, I think Foreman is the guy that I would go with. What do you think Damian Harris does this week? I mean, listen, he can rush for 50 yards and fall into the end zone for a touchdown. That's about the best you could expect. He doesn't catch passes. It never has been. Is Gus Edwards a real thing? Yes, he is a real thing. He absolutely is a real thing. He's shown this before he tore the ACL last year. Didn't Hubbard get hurt? That makes Foreman even. Yes, he did get hurt, L-Dot. I don't know the particulars on it. Nothing has come by yet down the wire while I'm on here. Mike Evans, 9 for 96. So Mike Evans, it's not a straight line in any given season for Mike Evans. It's not a straight line of production. It's up here, it's down here, it's up here again. Sort of like Mike Williams, with maybe a little bit more consistency, but the numbers are there at the end. Chris Godwin, 7 for 43. Godwin, another double-digit target game, not scoring. And Brady is really asking Godwin to create on his own, and it's just not working. DJ Moore, 7 for 69 and a touchdown. If you own DJ Moore, you could wait out the trade deadline. It doesn't look like he's getting traded, or you could try to sell high. It's a good game. I don't trust PJ Walker at all. I mean, I don't know what the Tampa Bay defense was doing in this game. It was just absolutely pathetic. Is there a miracle Breece Hall plays next week? There is no chance Breece Hall plays this week. And I don't think he's playing again this season. I'm sorry, Nigel. I don't mean to be a downer. All right. How about the New York Giants? My New York Giants are 6-1. Anybody that watched that game, the last minute took about 40 minutes, first of all, in real time. And then Christian Kirk was stopped at the 1-yard line, and the Giants pulled it off. Brian Dable's already locked down Coach of the Year. Just a tremendous effort. And they might have to show Daniel Jones the money. Daniel Jones, he's had turnover problems in the past, but he is really showing when you put talent around him, like a Wan'Dale Robinson, like a competent offensive line, like a Saquon Barkley, who's now fully healthy, and you give him a coach, an offensive coach who knows what he's doing, Daniel Jones is thriving. 19 for 30, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He's not turning the ball over. And how about this? 11 carries for 170 yards and a touchdown. So in super flex leagues, Daniel Jones is now a quarterback too that you can use, and he might be earning himself a contract. Trevor Lawrence, 310 yards passing, no touchdowns. Listen, it is what it is. I'm not going to make any more excuses for Trevor Lawrence. I'm just not going to do that. Daniel Jones, a poor man. Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins doesn't run. I don't see that. Daniel Jones almost reminds me, if anybody here that's old enough, if you remember Mark Brunell when he was with the Jaguars when he first came up, anybody agree with me on that? That's who Daniel Jones reminds me of, Mark Brunell. Saquon Barkley, another excellent game, 24 of 110. It looks like he's completely fantasy-proof when he's healthy. 4 catches for 25 yards. I thought there'd be a little bit more nitpicking on Barkley. I thought there'd be a little bit more pass work for him this season. But listen, he's been excellent for sure. Darius Slayton, 3 for 58 and a touchdown. Somebody asked me about Slayton. I don't think he's really worth picking up, honestly. Kadarius Toney maybe will come back at some point. Wan'Dale Robinson, 6 catches for 50 yards. I told you to use him liberally, and that goes, going forward for sure. Now, Travis Etienne season is here. Not a single carry for James Robinson. Etienne, 14 for 114 on the ground and a touchdown. He did have a bad fumble. Also had a crucial drop on the last series that would have went for a big yard. So he's still making mistakes, but he's also putting up the points. Only 1 catch for 5 yards. So they're not incorporating him enough in the passing game. And I think that's part of the problem with the Jaguars is that Etienne is very capable in the passing game, and he's not being allowed to do it. Christian Kirk, 7 for 96, so he puts up his first good game in a month. And I could have told you that was going to happen because I traded Christian Kirk in a deal for Allen Lazard prior to this week. So I just knew that Christian Kirk would go off because that's what always happens when you trade somebody, right? Evan Ingram, 4 for 67. Marvin Jones, 4 for 57. So the Jaguars receivers were doing a decent job. Looks like James Robinson's hurt too. Just saw Cusa really is Etienne. Yeah, it is Etienne season. James Robinson's, feel free to drop him. Or if you have Etienne, you can just hold him as a handcuff. We have a Lamar Jackson problem. All right. Over a month now of dull, listless, just shitty fantasy football games from Lamar Jackson. It is now extremely run heavy. The Baltimore offense. Jackson only throws 16 passes, 9 of 16 for 120 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, and he only runs for 59 yards. If he's going to throw the ball under 20 times a game, he needs to run for almost 100 yards, and he's got to score on the ground. And it was all Gus Edwards on the ground. Gus Edwards, 16 of 66, 4.1 a carry, kind of mediocre, but he scored 2 touchdowns. Not used in the passing game. He never really has been used in the passing game. All right, David Njoku, who's in a walking boot on crutches after today's game of Baltimore, suffered a sprained ankle that, in one word, isn't serious. Added test to determine the full extent of injury, but he'll be okay. So David Njoku looks like he avoided disaster. I had Breece Hall and Mike Williams. Oh, my God, C25. Bad day for you, my friend. That's as bad as it gets. I'm sorry to hear that. Amari Cooper, 3 for 74. He really needs Deshaun Watson to get back. Njoku, 7 for 71. So Njoku's been good for over a month now. Probably will miss next week's game if he's in a walking boot, but, he's a definite hold. Rashad Bateman, 4 for 42, coming back. But if the Ravens are gonna throw it this few times, it's going to be really hard for Bateman to make hay. Nick Chubb got his touchdown, 16 of 91 rushing. So if Nick Chubb is scoring and he's rushing for over 80 yards, he's going to be really helpful for you. All right, the Jets game. Zach Wilson, 7 plus fantasy points, 16 to 26. He's not being allowed really to do anything. Brett Rippon was pretty terrible, as we expected. Breece Hall, torn ACL. There's no reason to go through it. Now, I don't have that confirmed, but Robert Saleh basically said that it was probably a torn ACL. Do I think Damian Harris outsnaps Ramondre Stevenson? No, I do not think so. I think Stevenson outsnaps him. All right, Melvin Gordon, 11 of 33. I'm not even going to talk about the Denver rushing game. There's no point. Michael Carter is going to be the guy now, 13 for 29 rushing. He was horrible running the ball, 2 catches for 45 yards. You're really only going to use Michael Carter in PPR leagues. Ty Johnson might get some more looks. That might be how things shake out. Garrett Wilson, I would put back in the lineup this week. 4 for 24. There's going to be no Corey Davis this week, no Breece Hall this week, and no Elijah Moore. So, by process of elimination, Garrett Wilson's going to be the only option left. Jerry Jeudy. Listen, Jerry Jeudy was pretty good. 7 for 96. Cortland Sutton, who I told you to bench, 3 for 23. No surprise there. Greg Dulcich, 6 for 51. If you really need a tight end, I guess he's worth looking at. All right, the Las Vegas Raiders. Listen, Josh Jacobs is winning leagues this year. He is absolutely going to win leagues this year. 20 of 143. That's 7.2 a carry, 3 rushing touchdowns, and then he adds 3 catches for 12 yards for good measure. I mean, it's getting silly. It really is getting silly right now with Jacobs, who is going to be a league winner. Dameon Pierce, 20 for 92. So Dameon Pierce still doing well, 4 catches for 25 yards. So Dameon Pierce did a Josh Jacobs light impersonation. The Texans are just so bad that Pierce can't be graded as anything more than a high-end running back too, just because how bad his team is. But I got to hand it to the kid, and I was intrigued by him coming into the season. It was a perfect setup for Dameon Pierce in Houston, and he's been very good. Derek Carr, 21 to 27, just a single passing touchdown. So Jacobs is kind of siphoning off potential points from Derek Carr. What should I do with Elijah Mitchell at this point? I've held him on IR all this time, but CMC has killed his value. If you have a deep bench, I'll die. I still would hold Elijah Mitchell, although Jeff Wilson's still around. I mean, McCaffrey doesn't ever stay healthy. We're all waiting for the other shoe to drop with his health. So if it's a deep bench, maybe hold on to him. But you could also cut him. Brandon Cooks, 4 for 46. If you're a Brandon Cooks owner, you just got to hope that he gets traded because it's been a bust of a season from Brandon Cooks, and I'm certainly disappointed in him. Devontae Adams, 8 for 95. No word on any suspension yet, so he was fine. Hunter Renfrow, 3 for 55. Talk about disappointing. Very tough to use Hunter Renfrow, who's on that bench flex borderline right now. Seattle Seahawks, Kenneth Walker, another league-winning guy. So late touchdown, 23 for 168. Oh, my goodness. 2 rushing touchdowns. Did not catch a single pass. So I said this was going to happen. Kenneth Walker was not used in the passing game in college. Not going to be used much in the passing game here. It's going to be DJ Dallas, who caught a couple of balls. But Kenneth Walker just completely doing his thing right now. He's explosive. He's breaking tackles. He's cutting on a dime. He is Nick Chubb. Kenneth Walker is Nick Chubb all the way down to the lack of receiving. That's how good he is. All right. Hey, Geno Smith back on track, 20 to 27, 2 passing touchdowns. He has played so well that the Seahawks almost have to think about keeping him going forward. Justin Herbert, 33 of 51, 293. A lot of that was in garbage time, including one of his 2 touchdowns. He threw an interception, 22 yards on the ground. Herbert still does not look like the guy that you drafted 3rd overall among quarterbacks. Austin Eckler, the human fantasy fucking football cheat code, 9 for 31 on the ground, and he scored a touchdown. And in the passing game, 12 for 96 and another touchdown. So, listen, I'm freaking jealous, man. I mean, if you don't own Eckler, you've got to be jealous of the Eckler owner in your league just seeing these ridiculous points being put up. And the durability, too. I mean, the guy's small. He's been nicked up a lot throughout his career, but I mean, he is just absolutely killing it right now. And Mike Williams was killing it, 7 for 86 in the score until he goes down. So Gerald Everett, who went 5 for 63, is going to be more involved. Keenan Allen only 2 for 11 on a severe snap count. Not sure if he aggravated anything. But, if you started him, it was risky. We maybe learned with the T. Higgins situation when a guy first comes back from a multi-week injury that they will be on a snap count. So we're going to have to tread carefully there. DK Metcalf, only 1 catch for 12 yards before he is carted off with an injury. No update on that yet. Tyler Lockett, 7 for 45. Drafted Eckler at 2 in one of my leagues. Del J, you did a great job on that one. San Francisco, Kansas City. So, listen, I told all of you to stay patient with Juju Smith-Schuster. I got a lot of shit about Juju, but he's now fully comfortable in the offense. He's had 2 monster weeks in a row. In this one, 7 for 124 and a touchdown. He's moving up to that high-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2 territory. And this is why I love Juju so much. He is a terrific receiver. He gets knocked for the Antonio Brown situation in Pittsburgh. He had that one big year because of Antonio Brown, but he also caught 90 balls in Pittsburgh with Ben Roethlisberger as his quarterback. So I've always been a firm believer in Juju Smith-Schuster. I told you, I posted that video a few weeks ago to buy low on Smith-Schuster. Hopefully you listened. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 3 for 111. Kelsey, 6 for 98. What was the other thing? Oh, how about Mecole Hardman? 2 carries for 28 yards, and he scores a touchdown. And 4 for 32 in the passing game and another touchdown. So Mecole Hardman also is balling out as well. All right, Pete Carroll says X-rays were negative on DK Metcalf's knee, but he'll get an MRI back in Seattle. So he's not out of the woods yet. He's got to get an MRI. X-rays probably showed no break, but now we have to see if there's ligament damage, and that's what the MRI will show. So we'll have to figure that out. Elijah Mitchell's finished probably with McCaffrey there. I agree. George Kittle, 6 for 98 and a touchdown. So Kittle's been very good the last couple of weeks. So I was a little concerned with McCaffrey coming in that Kittle would lose touches, but he's been terrific. Brandon Ayuk, talk about terrific, 7 for 82. Deebo Samuel, 5 for 42. Samuel, 1 carry for 2 yards. I said he wasn't going to carry the ball much with Christian McCaffrey in town. And Deebo, you get the sense that Deebo's being left behind in the offense now. Ayuk and Kittle are moving ahead of him in the target tree from Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not getting carries now with CMC there. I posted in the summer that Deebo was going to be a bust, and he is busting out right now. He hasn't been horrible, but he has not been anywhere near the late second-round ADP that he carried. It was obvious to me. He's always injured. Like I said, he hasn't been injured yet this year, but not carrying the ball as much. Brandon Ayuk is a thing. Kittle's still around. Now you have McCaffrey. It's going to be tough for Samuel to reach that ADP that he had this past summer. Should I trade Josh Jacobs and T. Higgins for Deebo and JJ? No, absolutely not, Luke. Absolutely not. Josh Jacobs is killing it. There is no way in hell I do that trade. T. Higgins has been very good. He's been getting almost double-digit targets in every game. It's just that Chase and Boyd both went nuts today, made Higgins look bad, but 5 for 93 was a good game. He's caught at least 5 passes in almost every game this year, so I would not do that deal. Gus Edwards for Justin Herbert. He had Brady wants to trade for a QB. His running backs are Lenny, Saquon, and Foreman can afford to give a running back. I wouldn't trade Herbert for Gus Edwards, no. Gus Edwards is too touchdown dependent. I would not do that deal. Deebo's been very lackluster this year. Yes, he has. All right, let's talk about Isaiah Pacheco. So he got the start. Honestly, wasn't really that great. 8 for 43. But, I take that back. 5.4 a carry. They just didn't run the ball a lot. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 6 for 32, and he had a touchdown. So that kind of screwed things right there. Edwards-Helaire did not catch a ball. Neither did Pacheco. So, I got a lot of questions this morning about start Pacheco or scenarios. I think one of them was A.J. Dillon. So, that kind of was a wash. Actually, Pacheco outproduced him. Romeo Doubs was another one. He outproduced Dobbs. So, Pacheco wasn't great. But it looks like it's just going to be a three-headed monster in that Chiefs backfield you really just want to avoid. What running back would you look for Herbert? Aaron Jones. Try Aaron Jones. I love Aaron Jones. Although off this week, it's going to be probably tough to do that. Dalvin Cook. I would look at Dalvin Cook for Herbert because Herbert is still very good, so I wouldn't just give him away. Kenneth Walker, you could try for that. All right, Christian McCaffrey went 8 for 38, limited time for sure, but he did catch 2 balls for 24 yards, and he's going to get more carries as we go along. So, all right, Dalton Schultz, who tweaked his knee again today, is fine. Schultz has been dealing with a PCL sprain, which has been aggravated multiple times, but he returned to the game and should be okay moving forward. So it looks like Dalton Schultz is going to be just fine. So, again, I wanted to get back to you and share that one league. So that one league that I'm in, I have an 81.50 lead. I have 81.5 points. My opponent has 66.1, and he's starting Khalil Herbert tomorrow. So I have a 99% chance of winning unless Montgomery gets injured and Herbert, kind of gets the lion's share of carries. But just to put things in perspective, how crazy fantasy football is, and it all depends on your matchup. In the rest of this 12-team PPR league, there's only one other team that is on pace to score fewer than me. So I would have lost to every other team, the remaining 10 teams except for one. So I just happened to get lucky drawing the matchup, and I'm still not out of the woods. Again, if Herbert, somehow falls into a touchdown tomorrow, I could still lose. But I absolutely embarrassed myself in this one league, scoring 81 points, but I might actually win when I would have lost against 9 of the 10 other teams. And that's what drives me crazy about fantasy football, is that it's really so matchup dependent and how many, points are scored against you. So, that certainly is very frustrating. Now, my other league, I'm up 108 to 97. So 11-point lead. My opponent has Miami defense, and I have Ramondre Stevenson. So I should be good. I should be moving to 6-1 in one league and hopefully 4-3 in the other. So I like to be honest about how I'm doing in my leagues. But I have Allen Lazard in both, and I lost him in both. So, that sucks right there. Hey, everyone, should I trade TJ Hawkinson, Pittman, and Elliott for Kittle and Chase? Oh, absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. Do that deal now. My standard league got 49 points. It was a terrible day. 49 points. Listen, that's a pretty bad day. There was a lot of bad days going around, Ace. So I'm with you on that one. And as a matter of fact, like I said, in that one league that I'm getting very lucky in, based on my opponent, I was ready to come on here and say to you all today that I reached rock bottom in fantasy football. Like, it was so bad scoring 81 points with a team that has Lamar Jackson, Michael Pittman, CeeDee Lamb, Leonard Fournette, Allen Lazard, Dalton Schultz, and Tony fucking Pollard, all of those stud players, and I managed 81 points total. Like, how is that even possible? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Lamar Jackson, Pittman, Lamb. My team is stacked, and I score 81 points. And my opponent scores 66. Like, it just, nothing makes sense today. It's just crazy. Josh Jacobs is taking over fantasy football. Breece Hall is injured. Like, nothing went according to plan today. Francisco traded Swift, Dillon, and Gabe Davis for Saquon and Higgins. You absolutely robbed the guy. Swift, Dillon, and Gabe Davis for Saquon Higgins. Listen, I get the sense that I like T. Higgins more than other people, and that's fair. But T. Higgins is really fucking good. He's just playing next to somebody who's out of this world and who also has a team that also has the best third receiver in football. So, the Bengals are showing that 3 receivers can eat in one offense. Justin Herbert for Gus Edwards and Foreman. No, don't do that, Nigel. You got to do better than that. You got to have a guy. If you're going to trade Herbert, you got to get a running back that has receiving ability too. Or you go for somebody like Kenneth Walker. I would try Nick Chubb, Kenneth Walker, Dalvin Cook before I go for those guys. David Dace well by himself. Not sure what you mean by that, Del J. But yeah, so it's just a crazy week, guys. Fantasy football just can drive you absolutely crazy. I really wish that Yahoo can come up with a system, because I play Yahoo. I know there's always, what's best, CBS, Yahoo. I really want there to be Yahoo to come up with a method where each week you play the entire league and your opponent. So you could win 2 games each week. And I know there's an app that does that. I forget what it's called, but the top 6 highest scoring teams each week should get a win, and the lowest 6 should get a loss. And then you also get a win or a loss against whoever you play that week. That way you avoid a situation where you outscored everybody else, but your opponent and maybe one other team, and you get a loss. So like that drives me crazy more than anything when it comes to fantasy football. If Gabe Davis goes off, you win. Yeah, definitely. Listen, you can't, LJ, you can't predict any of this stuff. I mean, who would have thought that Lamar Jackson, after putting up 40 plus points 2 weeks in a row, is now in the situation he is? If I tried to trade Lamar Jackson today, I don't think I'm getting anything for him. Like that's how wild the swings have been this year for sure. It's just downright crazy. So yeah, that's it for this week, guys, in terms of the games, going over the games. We're going to check in on all the injuries. Tomorrow is going to be the Monday crisis point videos. So make sure you check out the Monday crisis point videos. I'm probably going to do a stream again tomorrow too, because Monday is always a big update in terms of the injuries. I don't think we're getting good news on Breece Hall. I don't think we're getting good news on Mike Williams. It looks like DK Metcalf might have avoided the worst case scenario. But again, we got to check in on all this. So guys, I'm going to sign off now. Enjoy your night. Enjoy the game tonight. And we will talk soon. Have a good night, everyone.